times. Queer times. Queer times.
Welcome to Queer Times. I'm
Hi.
Kristen Becker. Who's this?
I'm Harrison.
Harrison what?
Harrison Fish.
Hi, Harrison Fish. How are you?
I'm really good. It's been a busy week here in Provincetown, the busiest of weeks.
The Carnival.
Yeah,
That was terrible. I don't know what accent that was.
like vaguely French.
a little bit. A drunk French.
Yeah,
It was like an Italian actor who got drunk and then had to play a French character.
nice. But Carnival is the biggest week of the year here in Provincetown. It is the Carnival parade, is the pièce de résistance. What did you do the Carnival day?
I judged
Oh, well,
others and others.
You
No,
were-
I float judge at the
Oh,
Crown.
word.
So I was it's a more difficult task than you would expect.
yeah, I heard it was pages and pages.
There's pages and pages of floats, and did they all line up in order? Maybe, maybe not. Are you sure that's it? Have you seen the whole thing? Oh wait, there's a whole nother float that comes with this B6. But it was a really great time.
So you hung out with Bob and Sam, who were
Yes, hung out with Bob and Sam from
Nice.
what's that show called?
Wake Up in Provincetown.
That's right.
My other show.
Your other show. Hung
I
out-
wanted to wear a slutty costume and dance around in the street, so I said no to hosting.
That makes sense, but could you not have worn a slutty costume and been an on the street roving reporter?
I think I just didn't want to do.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have done any. Generally, during Carnival Week here, I go to Long Point.
Mm.
I go over sand. I get away from the
Yeah.
mass of people. But the PBG was like, "Hey, would you judge?" And I was like, "You know what? Yes, thank you." I always bitch about like, where are the women in these things? And if
Yeah,
you're gonna ask me to
totally.
do that, I'm gonna 100% show up and go do that.
Work.
And it was a great time.
Yeah. I was the theme. There's a theme for Carnival every year. This year it was summer camp.
Yep,
I dressed up as a slutty mosquito.
very nice.
Yeah.
I went training camp. I had a jersey and a hat, and
Oh,
it happens
right.
in the summer.
Yeah.
And that's when football training camp is. So it was simple, it was basic, but it was
Yeah.
a thinker.
The upcoming theme for next year they just released.
Deep sea disco.
Deep Sea Disco.
I'm just seeing a lot of bedazzled scuba helmets.
Ooh.
Like
I'm
old school.
thinking like jellyfish umbrellas.
Oh, that will definitely be a
Yeah.
thing.
Another really exciting thing I did this week.
Yes.
I stayed in Wednesday night and I watched two of my favorite teams play.
Okay.
Women's
Dallas Wings.
basketball, but of course Dallas Wings
Yep.
and the LA Sparks. They're my two favorite teams, and it was tough going into this game because Dallas is my number one. I always want them to win, but Dallas officially has no chances of making the playoffs.
I
And,
see.
and the Sparks are on the bubble, meaning they might make it or they might not. So I was like, going into the game, I was like, okay, I want it to be a good game. I want the Sparks to win so that they can get closer to being in the playoffs, and I want Paige Bueckers to go off.
Did you light a manifesting candle?
I mean, I should have. I didn't, but surprisingly, that is exactly what happened.
Amazing.
Yeah.
44 points.
Paige Bueckers scored 44 points, which is a record for,
Anyone.
any
Rookie.
any rookie ever. The only time someone else scored 44 points as a rookie was the inaugural season, so everyone was a rookie, so it's hard to...
In the WNBA.
Yeah, the first year of the WNBA, someone also scored 44 points, and they were a rookie because it was their first year, but
Are there any NBA rookies that have scored?
4 of them, I think.
Okay. All right. Not
Yeah.
all right.
So she scored 44 points, which is wild, over 80% from the field, which is also wild. And they were up by 1 with 4 seconds left. Dallas
texting.
was. And then they inbounded it to Kelsey Plum, who looked like she was not going to do it. And then she ended up getting a 2-pointer to win the game. So exactly what I wanted happened.
The more Paige Bueckers makes Caitlin Clark look like shit, the happier I am. And I said it. I said it out loud.
Yeah.
And I can say that as a white lady. I'm allowed to talk about my people like that.
I'm bummed that Caitlin Clark has been hurt all season. But on the flip side, the WNBA hasn't fallen apart. There are so many men online being like, I only have ever heard of Caitlin Clark, and that means something.
To an entire league of
Yeah.
women who give zero fucks.
Yeah, exactly. But it was very exciting. I'm hoping that the day the regular season is over until the beginning of Unrivaled, Paige Bueckers is in like a lounge chair by a pool for that entire time because she deserves it. They're just working a very grueling season. A lot of people are blaming the refs, but people are calling it a very physical season, and people are getting hurt.
Mm.
And that is the only thing I don't want. I don't want anyone to be hurt.
I think that is where the intersection that interests me the most is. I mean, outside of obviously the competition, but when people are like, oh, they're not making enough money, or they're making plenty of money, and like, an average person in that city, when when the expansion teams came out, and they're like, oh, that it was coincided with pay them more, pay them what they're worth. And this idea of just what you said, where like maybe there's a lot of physicality that is involved in these games that will wreck your bodies for the rest of your life, right? And so at the end of your career, you have to be compensated enough for now and kind of then. And
Yeah.
I think that's the part that people are like kind of skipping over, that this is any professional sports person is using their body till there's not much left. And that means that they need to be able to sustain themselves after they're finished playing. They pulled some stuff in Orlando, painting over the Pulse
Oh,
crosswalks this
yeah.
week. Did you see that?
I did. I just I don't think that the best representation for queer people and what we should be fighting over is necessarily crosswalks.
I agree with that. You know what I liked? I liked that there was a group of people who went out with chalk and re-chalked the crosswalks. I feel like that is something for like younger queers to be able to be like, hey, you're not going to erase us. Here we are. You might wash us away the next rain, but you're
Yeah.
not. If you erase us, we will keep showing up. And and that is fine. Do I think that I think I agree with you that it's not the be all and end all of our fight for justice
Yeah.
right now, but it does feel regressive because we're not talking about every crosswalk in Orlando. We're talking about the crosswalk near Pulse, right? Like
Yeah.
I think that's the other key component is we're not saying like we need all of your crosswalks to be gay, the gayest you've ever seen them. You're never going to see gayer crosswalks, right?
But also a crosswalk? I don't know. I'm just why did crosswalks ever matter? I'm just I feel like there's other things to fight and worry about. And I know it's representative.
You don't think that walking all over the rainbow
In
is a sign of
I guess I just
admiration
think in the
and
countless
elevates us?
ways queer people are being oppressed in the state of Florida, I don't think no longer having a rainbow crosswalk adds any oppression. I don't think people are being oppressed by that crosswalk not being in there, but there are countless real ways that queer people in Florida are being oppressed.
Do you think that the act of removal is a slight?
Yeah.
And I think that's where what people are saying is like, do we think it's the end of the world? No. But like, did you need to? Like, you paid somebody, it would have faded away eventually, probably before this administration
I mean,
is
maybe
over.
that's also what was happening. Maybe it was fading, and not to defend them or anything.
We love
by
it when you do that.
any means.
When any of us does that.
Because fuck these people.
Basically, what you're saying is it looked faded and they wanted
Maybe they were just redoing the crosswalk as is done, and they were like, yeah, just use the regular colors.
So that happened, Florida, and Harrison sides with Florida.
I know. Absolutely not. I'm just not super worried about it, the crosswalks.
What are you worried about?
The trans people being murdered across our country.
Yeah.
Trans youth not being able to have the healthcare that they need to survive.
Right.
Yeah.
Not crosswalks. I was at a Trevor Project fundraiser yesterday, actually. And the new CEO, James Black, gave a fantastic speech. And I will say that this incessant, are you suicidal? Are you suicidal? Are you suicidal? I would love to see Trevor Project expand its services to include preventive care and not just crisis care. The messaging is just feels like it's getting really heavy into, do you want to kill yourself? I think that we went from not acknowledging mental health and now the pendulum has swung and we need to, we're starting to get here where we're just like, okay, yes, these things about your identity are important, but they can't be the thing that we need to try to work around and build some inner strengths in you and some bumpers around you. So that way we're not always just trying to catch you as you fall off the edge. What we should be working more towards preventative mental health care and not just crisis suicide hotlines.
It's like they focused all of their resources on the worst case scenarios and they're acting like every case is the worst case scenario.
Not only is every case, as executive director of Summer of SAS, I have reached out and been like, hey, we have younger people who might be interested in mental health care. Is there somewhere we can send them, you do mental health. And they're like, no, we only do crisis.
Is that where you ran into this person? The LG
No,
person?
no. Okay. I met, and this is, you had talked about purity politics and the canceling of people. And I've never met someone who was an actual LGB person. The ones who are like, get rid of the T and the Q. Last night at dinner, I sit down with my girlfriend, KT, and this older man, older than me, but not that old, Larry, make small talk, and we say, hey, how's it going, and somehow we get into young trans people. And I don't even know, got there pretty quickly. And whatever it was about me and the way I present, like, I get it, it looks turfy, I get it, I get it, like, I know what I look like and I know how old I am, but I'm not. And he says to me, but like, don't you wish we could just like keep the L and the G and get rid of the rest? He didn't even want the B's. Like, he was not even here for the bisexuals. It was crazy. He was like, don't you think? And I was like, and thank the Lord that I had already had one at the fundraiser before, because I was just loose enough that I didn't eviscerate this man, right? And I was like, I had a lot of empathy. I was like, actually, I can't do that. And he was like, oh, you're one of the compassionate ones. And I was like, not necessarily.
And kind of like, you're not? You don't have compassion for people?
Yeah, no, he really was just like, I just don't really understand. And I was like, I don't think you have to. I said, I can be honest with you. I said, I used to be just like you. Like, truthfully, like, I didn't really understand. And then, but I realized that I had never spent any time, these people, I'd never spent any time, learning about what the trans experience is like. And I said, look at me. Clearly, I'm on a spectrum of gender, right? Like, most small children call me boy. Like, there's definitely some shit happening here that is not just vanilla column A girl, right? But I also, have no desire to have surgeries, or, I'm not really wrestling with any dysphoria. And that's kind of how I know it's real, because I know that there's gender as a variant, and I know that I am also not struggling the way that I see people struggle. Once you remove religion from this, once you remove this gender binary that is very puritanical and comes from European white people, and you look at gender as a spectrum, the rest of it is just plastic surgery. I was like, as far as I'm concerned, your body, your rules. The most conservative mindset that I can think of is you can do whatever you want to your body. You want to make your lips bigger, you want to make your tits bigger. Like, I dated a woman who really, really, really needed a boob job. Like, she really did not like her little tits, and she wanted bigger tits, and she obsessed about it. And it was a brain thing. And she got her tits. And I was like, I don't think it's any different. If you want tits to feel good, get tits to feel good. If you don't want tits to feel good, get rid of your tits. If you want to slap a dick on it, I wait till they got better at the surgery, but by all means, go for it. Like, it's one of those things where you don't need to try it the first season.
Right.
Let them get a little better at making them before you slap one on. I don't want like a first edition Prius. Do you know what I mean? Like, you want one that they've been working on. And then this guy says to me, he says, has anyone ever told you that you get more attractive the more you talk? And I was like, this motherfucker over here. He did in front of KT, my girlfriend. But he was like, you know what? Like, you should run for office. He was like that. He goes, I never thought about it like that. And so I think he's like, you really just made a difference here. He's like, I now think about it completely different. And it was a 4-minute exchange from a guy who's sitting at the table next to me at dinner and happens to be facing me. Right. It was really just a reminder that, like, we all kind of get there at different times based on our life experience. And if we can go through this and recognize that we all have biases, we all have stigmas based on who and how we're raised, and have a little bit of patience with people if you're able, right? Like, I was that person last night. I was able to be that. This afternoon, I told a guy in the street to go fuck himself, over a much smaller infraction. Right? So, like, we can't always be that person all the time. But when you can be that person who can sink to their level and have that discussion with them and maybe enlighten them a little bit, I think it's really helpful. And I think it's important in queer culture specifically these days that we have intergenerational conversations, and it helps if you can admit to yourself that you used to be biased and you used to be racist, or you were, you know what I mean? Like, that helps. I was able to say to this guy, no, I had a friend that I was like, you're not trans. Like, I had that in my life, and I've learned from that. He says he's coming to my comedy show on Wednesday night.
Work.
Fruit Basket. It was really an interesting interaction with a total stranger. And, KT, my girlfriend, was like, wow, that was really an authentic exchange. And he came to it really authentically. That's what he believed. And he thought he'd find a sympathetic ear.
Well, I feel like you were sympathetic.
I was empathetic.
I mean, I feel like the non-empathetic, non-sympathetic thing would have been, which I'm sitting here now thinking like, maybe that's what I would have done. I would have been like, fuck you.
But you got a couple things. You got some variables. Number one, I'm out to dinner with my girlfriend.
Yeah, so you can't start screaming.
Number two, we both just sat down at a table. They hadn't already been there eating. We're going to be monkey bars. It's like this, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to be next to each other for the next hour. And this could go one of two ways. And fortunately, charm is my superpower. And 90% of the time I can control it and use it for good. And sometimes I cannot.
I've been bartending in some situations, one very notably, where people didn't choose that. And they were like, oh no, the six of us will be fighting for the next 2 hours.
Yeah, I've also been that person where I did not choose that. And, I think that it's important that people recognize that you can be both of those things and that we allow people the space for their humanity, and specifically in the LGBTQ community right now, because they want us, they lump us all into the same experience, and we do not have the same experience. And the only way we build a real coalition is through sharing what our experiences are, and with good intention, hoping that we find some empathy.
I guess I could be kind and empathetic and try to get them to be not my enemy and instead rather on my team.
I think it's just about tuning into the ones you think you can make a difference with. This was somebody who approached in an incredibly authentic way, and that I respond very well to that.
You mentioned it a little at the beginning of that, but there's been a lot of this talk on like TikTok, the news, about like purity politics and how that is already affecting our upcoming 2028 election.
In what way?
I feel like the election cycle stopped being a cycle, and now it's just there. It's always, we're talking about who the next president is going to be, how we're going to fight against the current president. And like we talked about Gavin Newsom on last week's episode, and a lot of people are being like, oh, he should be the next presidential nominee. And a lot of people are coming back and saying no because of this, that, and the other thing. From my perspective, I feel like people on the far left are often lambasted for being the reason we lost this past election.
Right.
Because they couldn't get on, because they didn't vote for Kamala because she wasn't pro-Palestine.
She didn't call it a genocide.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people that are considered more liberal, a little more in line with the current Democratic Party, are being a little hypocritical. Like, oh, we didn't win because you weren't willing to do this. Like, you didn't allow yourself to vote for Kamala, and now we have Trump. Like, you weren't willing to fight against Trump in the best way that we could have, which was voting for Kamala. But now the same people are spending their time criticizing people far to the left than them for doing that, rather than criticizing people to the right of them that are currently in power. Like, they're accusing people on the far left as like, oh, you're infighting. It's like, but that's exactly what they're doing. She wasn't my perfect candidate. It frustrated me that she is continuing to support Israel and refusing to call what's happening in Palestine a genocide, but I voted for her.
Same.
Yeah. And I feel like the group of people that did the harm reduction thing, which was voting for Kamala to support her in winning over Trump, is much bigger than the group of people who stayed home because they couldn't vote for Kamala.
But the numbers don't reflect that. I mean, these were bigger wins than anyone expected. And I think a large part of that was people who were standing up for a genocide. And I can't fault that.
Yeah, I kind of also, if your line in the sand is
genocide, pretty good line.
Yeah, and like murdering.
Pretty good line. And actually, mine wasn't, unfortunately.
Yeah,
which is also a fucking problem. Yeah, I should think about. I think the left has a purity politics problem. It's wild to me how there is a large percentage of the population that centers their own identity in a really strong way and their own humanity, while simultaneously not allowing other people to have their humanity. There are these stages in life that we haven't figured out how to use ourselves at our strongest stages, right? Like, yeah, the 20-year-olds are supposed to be like, fuck you, burn it down. They're supposed to be doing that, right? The 30-year-olds are supposed to be having fuck you, but like better arguments. Like, right. You're not burning it down at that point. You're just having a fuck you. And then like the 40-year-olds are supposed to be like, well,
Let's figure this out.
Let's figure this out, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that is real coalitions have a little bit of everybody from each column
Mm.
doing the street work and the networking and the lobbying. And quite frankly, I think some fairly moderate centrists need to get together with some of the left and figure it out. Like, I just think that
I can't even imagine where a moderate centrist would actually, like, what does that look like?
in this economy,
Yeah, I'm just like, how can, like, moderately between Kamala and Trump?
I think it's literally just people who have a couple kids, so they don't really have a ton of time to be caught up in whatever the politics are at the moment, right? Like, in reality.
If you're a moderately intelligent person with cognitive thinking abilities and you're worried about feeding your children, I feel like, again, you should have looked at the candidates, and to be in the middle of those two and not sure and moderate is still crazy.
I don't think so. When someone who's never going to be able to buy a house hears that the Democrats lost this because they lost the working class, period. Like that, it doesn't, like left or right, it almost doesn't matter.
I mean, the Democrats lost because they've been running since 2016 on this idea of like moving farther right. The Democratic Party is much farther right than it was in 2016 now. And I feel like they do that with the support of these people lamenting purity politics. People who are like center left, who are belittling and chastising people on the far left for wanting something better than what we're offered, is just allows them to continue to move farther right. We don't talk about healthcare anymore. Healthcare was the biggest issue in 2016, and we don't even talk about it anymore.
I think that that's part of what I meant when I said that we're going to give you $30,000 to buy a house. Like, that was so removed. Number one, they were like, it's not going to be Biden, it's going to be Kamala. And we were like, oh, is she going to say genocide? And then she didn't. We were like, oh, that was your out. Your out was to go to her, pivot to her. You wouldn't have to say genocide. She'd be able to say genocide. You'd get those people. Didn't do that. Okay, great. What's she going to bring us? She's going to bring us something really strong and robust for the working class. And what did she bring us? We'll give you $50,000 if you buy a house. Like, what?
Don't you feel like it's because that policy is farther right and out of touch than what those people want? Like, as someone who I do think people would categorize as far left, more progressive, like that is so out of touch in my mind. And it's farther right than I want a housing policy to be.
Actually, I never thought about it that way, because for me, it was just like, oh, this is some help. In their mind, it was some help.
It's help to people who, like, it's like 80% of people are drowning, like, but let's help the 20% of people who are managing to tread water.
Okay, so we're 3 years away. Let's say Mamdani
Sure.
and Newsom, because I think those are the two representations of what is considered old guard Democrats, and we can say AOC, right? Where are the inroads they should be making right now to be prepared to have a candidate that has a chance in 3 years? I think it's unions.
Yeah.
I think it's healthcare, but that's gone to shit. I think the move to the right is appealing to people because more and more the systems are broken, partly because they are breaking them, but a lot of it was already broken. And people have said that.
I don't understand how that would make someone move farther right.
Because they're going to break it. They're going to tear it all down. They're in the process of tearing it all down. And those people are fearless in their destruction because they're going to make money off of it. The rest of us are full of fear because we're not going to make money off it. And we have to hope that capitalism is the right move, and we know it's not.
Yeah. You had asked what should a left candidate be doing to potentially position themselves for a presidential run, but it's like it's all there. Talk about healthcare, talk about actual people's cost of living. It's like you talk about like, oh, everything's expensive and everything is falling apart, and the Democratic Party and Republicans will go, the stock market's great. Like, anyone who mentions the stock market when it comes to, if you're complaining about the price of eggs and milk and gasoline, and then you're like, but the stock market's great. The stock market doesn't, when the stock market is good, it means that very, very rich people are able to easily extract money from the economy. When the stock market is bad, it just means that extremely rich people are having a harder time extracting massive amounts of money from the economy. And when they start to have that hard time, they go, well, we don't want to extract less money, so we're going to make you give us more. Did you see what happened with Target this last week?
The CEO?
Yeah. So the CEO, news came out that the Target CEO is stepping down as company faces weak sales and customer boycott. He had been with Target for 11 years. His name is Brian Cornell. He's going to be stepping down effective this upcoming February, and he was just simply transitioning into the role of executive chair of the board from CEO.
Still a powerful position.
Yeah, extremely powerful.
And this is mostly because they let a couple rednecks threaten them into rolling back their DEI stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because I think Costco's killing it, right?
Yeah.
Costco's still doing great. They were leaning into the DEI, and I think the misstep, I mean, obviously it's a dumb move for progress, but it's also a dumb move for money when you offend your entire demographic. Like Target sold out people of color and queers to please Walmart customers.
Yeah, it's
right.
crazy.
Like it's not the same.
I always felt like Walmart and Target were the same, except Walmart was for conservatives and Target was for liberals. Like
Yes.
that was always my perception of the two. It felt like cool hip Walmart, and then they did this, and I just feel like they're never going to come back because no, forever now it's not going to feel like that.
I haven't gone to one,
No.
and I mean, in a time when general big box stores are slumping anyway, like the idea of like going and walking around and buying cheap things in this economy.
Yeah, right.
When there's Amazon, when they'll just bring cheap things directly to my door, like it
Right.
felt like a terrible decision in an also terrible time for somebody like Target.
I mean, I just think Target can do everything it wants to do. I just don't think they're going to get anything back. And I also feel like it's meaningless. They swap swap someone in, swap someone out in order to make it look like they were doing something. But it really just seems like they're galvanizing in who they are, what they were. Their stock dropped 8% after the announcement.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, if the whole meaning is actually just what will its stock do?
Yeah, they says that their new strategy is to revitalize merchandising, elevate in-store experience, and embrace tech-driven efficiency. And the funny thing is
embrace tech-driven efficiency, self-checkout. We're gonna make you do the labor. That's what that means.
Yeah.
What was the other part?
Revitalize merchandising and elevate in-store experience. Like, I feel like Target used to have a really great in-store experience.
They did.
And I think it was the pandemic. Ever since the pandemic, you walk in, it looks like a tornado went through the entire store.
There are no well-functioning big box stores anymore. Because number one, they don't want to pay people enough to give a shit to work there.
Uh-huh.
Number two, people be getting robbed and shit. Like, who wants to work Black Friday? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like none of it is appealing anymore.
Black Friday isn't even a thing anymore.
It's not?
It's like now Black Friday starts on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just like, I wish a store would actually do a sale where it's like the first 2 hours, Friday morning, we're opening at 6 a.m. We have these TVs, they're $20.
Obviously, there's too much shit. There's too much capitalism. There's too much trinkets. There's all those things that we as a country in America have really polluted the earth with.
Yeah.
And we should own that. I think I'm just bummed that of the one that's going to fail, it's the one that actually gave a shit about other people other than straight rednecks.
Like, did they though? I'm like, it's so questionable now. You also like, it's just a reminder that like when corporations make public statements about things like this, it's not to be good. It is to make money.
Always.
They're not like, oh, these are our morals. It's like, no, that is what you're saying are your morals because you think that is the best business decision to make more money. The only people losing money by this going down are obviously like suppliers, people who sell their items in Target, but also like mostly this is a big deal because the rich people that wanted money to roll in because they invested money in Target years ago aren't getting that money. It's Reaganomics. Like businesses used to have they used to have three groups of people that they had to keep happy. Whoever owned a store, the customers, and the workers. And now all of those people are thrown to the wayside to support the random people who have invested money, have no say. Like business,
they are legally required to make as much money as possible. That's the part that when you go public, you are legally, or if people have invested in your thing, you are legally required to make decisions based on profit and profit alone. Very few people take the road of a Costco where you're going to trust the long game that by treating people well, you will become profitable, right? And now the entire culture is just make as much as quickly as you possibly can and don't worry about what's going to happen to any of those people involved. The loss of Target and Starbucks, to me as a Gen Xer, is just like so devastating.
Yeah.
These were companies that really came out with we're going to treat the people right and it's going to be awesome. And we're like, holy shit, we did it. We've turned a corner, y'all. Things are going to be great. And it turns out, no. They're all just rolling back downhill and taking us with them.
I mean, I used to work for, I know this is kind of a crazy example, but I used to work for P.F. Chang's. And P.F. Chang's, like in the late 90s to early 2000s when it was created, was such an incredible experience, such an incredible restaurant. And then they went public. And now it is McDonald's for Chinese food.
Yeah. And that will always be the case because whenever you go public, you have to maximize profits. And you can't do that and still you can either care about people or profits.
Yeah, we used to, like, as a server at P.F. Chang's, we used to be allowed to give away free things.
Yeah.
As much as we wanted within obvious reason, but like...
Your judgment was trusted to be a representative on the floor.
And it was important to make these people's experiences good so that they would come back. Don't go to Target.
Don't go to Target.
There's
the end.
Better coffee everywhere besides Starbucks.
There is, even though... just every now and again.
When's the last time you went to Starbucks, even before all this happened, and you were like, this is a good coffee?
It's not that it's that. It's just, I have a lot of things from touring the South where like now I will actively find a local coffee shop. I will.
Yeah.
But there are many times where like the only place you really could get
like an espresso
beverage was like at a Starbucks on the highway between Shreveport and Dallas. You know, like you weren't really, now you might find like the woman who went away to art school and then she came back and now she's going to live on this farm.
Yeah.
You know, and so she starts
making lavender lattes.
Well, making lavender lattes in her she shed cafe. You know?
Yeah.
Like, and I do try to find those, but
there's this guy on TikTok that I love, and basically what he does is kind of let you know that the illusion of choice doesn't exist, and specifically in Stop and Shop and like grocery stores, Targets, things like that. He basically will like, oh, let's go down the cereal aisle, and then he will be like, every single cereal box is owned by
General Mills,
not even above General Mills. It's owned by like 3 different holdings companies, those are the bad guys. The reason you can't afford things is because those people need more money from you. He'll go through like a soap aisle and like, these are the only 2 soaps in the entire aisle that are owned by the people who make it.
Have you seen a woman on TikTok who, and this is going to hit Chad hard, she's writing songs about how, hey, just so you know, all billionaires are bad, and Taylor Swift is one of them.
Oh no.
She's really, but she's writing songs to the melody of Taylor Swift songs about how Taylor Swift is part of the problem, whether you want to admit it or not, because she is a fucking billionaire and that's a lot of money. And yes, it's okay that she donates a little bit here and there, but like she's still part of the problem because all billionaires are bad and we all agree, and she's one of those billionaires. We did defend her. I did defend her for doing that a few episodes ago. We talked about like, oh, like make sure all the truck drivers made X amount of money. But I think there is still the debate of, is once you hit $1 billion, is that enough? Have you won capitalism and are you done?
Yeah, I think there should be no one who is so rich that we're sitting here debating on whether or not they should use their massive fortunes to change the world.
And so I would just like to see a little bit more creative giving from the uber wealthy that would have real impact on society for people, right? Like I could run my organization for the next 20 years on $10 million. That's like nothing.
That's barely an interest payment.
That's barely an interest payment.
But when you get that money, you're so far removed from it. Even the idea of a person like not having dinner because they can't afford food, like you can't even wrap your brain around it. Remember I said everyone thinks I'm a crazy leftist, but like I think along with the minimum wage, that should be 10 times higher than it is now. I think there should be a maximum wage. And this used to exist. How we got out of the Great Depression was taxing the wealthiest people at like 70, 80, 90%.
Correct.
I think we should tax anyone who makes over $100 million a year at 99%.
I would honestly be okay with 50%.
No.
I would be okay. I think that I would be okay with 50%. I think that it would be a 25% increase.
But then you still allow people to amass enough money where that they are single-handedly subverting culture, society, democracy because they have the resources to do so because they're so wealthy.
I think anybody should be as wealthy as they want to be as long as everybody's got a place to sleep and food to eat and can go to the doctor.
Yeah. But it's like when you're reaching a point where it's like there are billionaires in the country that could spend more money in a day than I will see in a lifetime and still be rich. Like
100%.
I feel like one of the biggest problems with when it comes to like the billionaire debate is like our brains aren't functioning enough to understand that amount of money.
What do you think would be a number that you could live on comfortably for the rest of your life?
10 million? And that would be lavish.
Yeah.
I don't make a ton of money now, and I feel like my life is pretty lavish as we speak.
I feel like my life is pretty lavish too. And I feel like I've got, I don't know, maybe like 30 more years in me. And I'd like to, I don't know, like maybe like 200 a year. I think 200 a year is a.
Say you had $10 million in a generic high yield savings account, you would make about $300,000 a year.
Hey, rich person.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Could I have your interest?
Yeah.
You know, just the money that you have sitting in the bank.
And that's only 10 million.
Just put 10 million of your money in the bank and then give Summer of Sass that interest.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You could save the world with your interest.
Thank you for listening to Queer Times today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Make sure you like, you subscribe, you tell your friends.
Yeah.
You share it out, you subscribe mostly. Just go subscribe to the podcast. Wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Bye, y'all. Love you.
Barely. Queer is in.